Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I'm your host, Dr. Nasir, and what's on tap for today, folks? Well, folks, there was a poll that was done by the Wall Street Journal with the University of Chicago, and they basically were asking questions. Where do you stand on religious values? Where do you stand on family values? Where do you stand on traditional values? Where do you stand on cultural values? Where do you stand on the importance of America, on having children, on all of these? And the poll came back, and if we're to believe this poll, wow, folks, the numbers look pretty bad, showing that in every category, Americans are saying patriotism on the decline, religious values on the decline, family values on the decline, traditional values on the decline, America's importance in the world on the decline. All the numbers are down. The only thing that was increased was that people wanted more money. They felt money was more important than all these other things. I was looking at the poll, wanted to share with you, go through some of the numbers. Let's take a look. They are pretty startling. So, as we said here, percentage of Americans who say that patriotism, religious faith, family, other traditional American values, not very important, on the decline, according to this Wall Street Journal. And basically it says the only thing that's increased, as we talked about, was that those money. So if we go through it, now here's something important. Take a look at this. The percent who say that values are more important to them, back in 1998, folks, that's only 25 years ago, a quarter of a century ago, patriotism was 70%. It's fallen down to 38% in 2023. In fact, from 2019 to 2023, look at the drop. 25, 26, unbelievable here, And then look at religion. 62% back in 1998 thought it was important. Again, 39% now in 2023. Just amazing. Now, some of the things they say is that what's happened? Well, there were some unifying values back for 9/11. That was the terrorist attacks in the 2008 financial crisis, and they talked about Donald Trump's presidency. But since then, when they polled these people, patriotism, as they said before, 38% of Americans say it's very important. Not important at all? 10% of the population says it's not important at all, patriotism. Now, if you break it down politically, we all know this. Republicans are more patriotic than Democrats. It just basically shows that all the time. 60% are more likely than Democrats at 23%. In fact, independents are about 30% to rank patriotism as a very important value. Older adults also tend to place more importance on patriotism. 23% of the adults under 30, they were saying that patriotism is very important, compared to 59%. So just take a look at that. Almost 60% of those 65 and older are saying patriotism very important. But only 23% of those under 30 say the same things. Now, how do you view the United States in the world? 21% say United States stands above. Less than a quarter of the people in America that they polled, over 1,000 people, said America stands above all the countries. Half of the people say it's one of the greatest countries. I guess there's some solace in that. So if you take that plus the 21, you got 71% of the people saying that America is either the greatest or one of the greatest countries in the world. About 27% say that there's countries better than America. I'd like to find out what countries they thought they were, and then if they are, why the heck aren't they moving to those countries? That would be kind of nice. And the percent of Americans who believe that there are other countries that are just better to America, that thing actually rose about 6 points. It was 19% in 2016, 27% now into 2023. Now, what about religion? Well, if we take a look at religion, about 49% say that God really exists. They have no doubts about it. But 39% say that religion is very important to them. Like patriotism, religion has seen a precipitous decline in ranking. 62% of Americans said religion was important in 1998. tumbled down to about 38% in 2023. And again, it's the same thing. Younger people tend to rank religion as very less likely to rank religion as very important to them. Now, again, here, Republicans, once again, more religious. 53% are Republicans. 27% will say, Democrats say that religion is very important. Independents, only 38% say that religion is very important. Then they were asked, how often do you attend religious services? Almost almost a third of the percent, 33% say that they never. Almost 19 to 20% say that less than once a year. And 5% say nearly every week. And another 5% say about 2 to 3 times a month. These polls have seen that Americans are perceiving a decline in religious influence, and they also place less value on their children sharing their religious views. And it basically says religion and community often go hand in hand. So is the percentage of Americans who say community involvement is important? Well, guess what? The same thing happens if you thought community involvement is important, you rank religion as important. Now, by political affiliation, it seems that Democrats are slightly more likely to value community involvement as very important. Not the religious aspect, but just the community aspect. 32% say community involvement is very important, and this is all because of the Black Lives Matter protests and the Black Lives Movement and all these other movements that are out there. Democrats are very good at firing up the base to get involved in those types of affiliations and those types of protests and those types of, I guess, for lack of a better word, get the community involved, get the community more aroused for those situations. But it's always happens in terms of something negative that the Democrats use, some negative news event to get those people to get involved, never something really positive. Now, what about children? Where do Americans rank as having children as very important? U.S. birth rates, not shocking. It's been bottoming out, and it's been in decline in the recent decades. 30% of the people that responded to surveys said that children are very important. Adults under 30 years old are below average, with 23% ranking children very important. Republicans, once again, 38% more likely than Democrats to say having children is important. Democrats say about a quarter of them, 26%, say children are important. Independents, lower at 20%, say that children are very important. Now, he said after 1900, the fertility declined gradually. It was interrupted by the baby boom following World War II, and then there was another decrease in the total fertility rate in the 1970s. Why? Delayed marriage, contraceptive use, changes in abortion laws, and abortions obviously skyrocketed. So basically, in 2020, the total fertility rate has dropped down to, they say, 1.64, the lowest recorded level ever. At the same time, it says Americans are what? They're delaying marriages. And large parts of Americans, they just rather stay single, or they're cohabitating, but not with actually getting married. They're living together. And only 63% of the men between the ages of 18 to 29 are single, while 34% of women the same age are single as well. Now, what about that thing we were talking about is money? Well, as the journal noted, the only priority that was tested that has grown in importance in the past quarter century is money. I don't think that's hard to figure out. 43% of Americans say money is very important. I find that less than 50%. So there's 57% of the people that don't think that it's very important. Now that value is up. It was 31% in 1998. It's 41% now, and that was in 2019. Now, aside from all age groups, including seniors, they attach far less importance to these priorities and values when pollsters asked them in 1998 and 2019. But it says, but younger Americans in particular place low importance on these values, many of which were centralized their parents. So in other words, older people are placing more importance, younger people are placing less importance. Now, independents are less likely to say money is important, 36%. Don't understand that at all, but that is. 45% of both Democrats and Republicans rank money as very important value. So I don't understand why there's a 9% drop in independence. I don't understand I'd like to know who makes up that independent group. Is it more younger people? I would tend to think so, in terms of that. And then they asked, finally, when they asked to describe their financial situations, 44% of Americans said that the finances are in worse condition than they expected at this stage in their life. 39% say that finances are about where they expected to be in this stage of their life. And about 17% say that their financial situation is better than expected. So if we're to believe these numbers, folks, then you know what? They are basically saying, once again, decline traditional values, decline religious values, decline cultural values, decline in America and its importance. Now, the only thing that we saw was that about 71% of Americans did say that America was either the greatest or one of the greatest countries. So you have that, but then you also say patriotism is down. Sometimes it's like, where do these numbers, how do they sort of, connect? Or is it just because of the way that people read the question? They say, yeah, America's a great country. But then you say patriotism and they go, you know what? Yeah, okay, fine. No, not as much. But America's too. So you have to take these numbers with a grain of salt as we do all polls. But it is showing something that, yes, those things that were valued a quarter of a century ago are certainly on the decline, whereas money certainly, shot up in terms of people saying that it needs to be on that very important scale. Anyways, folks, we hope you enjoyed this. It was just a little sort of look-see. It's just one poll. Like to see other polls come out as well. But we hope you enjoyed it. You've been watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I've been your host, Dr. Nasir. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell. Let us know what you think in the comments below. And my final thought is, when you're right, you're right. And when you're left, you're wrong. We'll see you again next time, folks. Take care and stay safe.